So this is exactly the Black Manosphere's fantasy. And this is why I talk a little bit about this on Just Pearly things in the past. It's not specifically, the whole thing about your average at best was basically geared mainly, in my opinion, towards people who were attractive but not the most attractive, okay? So, like, someone like Just Pearly, where she's like, for example, a 7 or 8 on average. If you look at most of her photos, she's gonna fall on a very high 7 or a very low 8, basically. And a few of her photos reach about a 9. She could do herself up easily and get to a 9. But it's that type of woman that they usually try to gear towards being average at best. And the reason why is because of the photos I'm showing. It's because of the fact that they look like this. And they can't access women who are attractive that know they're attractive because they look like that, basically. Their attractive level doesn't exceed a 4. When you look at how beautiful their faces are, they can't reach a 4. And they still try and sit up here and try and say someone who's a 7 or 8 is average at best in hopes that they can feel less attractive than someone who's a 10, so then they can feel like a 5, and then you'll end up like Just Pearly things with a boyfriend who looks like a 3 while she looks like close to an 8. This is a fantasy of unattractive men. And it's a fantasy of a lot of unattractive men to be able to have access to attractive women. They know that based off of their own personal looks, they don't qualify. But their only way of actually having access is by depreciating the beauty of actual attractive and pretty women. And they have to pretend that those women are not attractive in order to hope that they can have access to them. This is what annoys me because it's like, it's so obvious. If you're not attractive, then you're not attractive. Don't try and be mad because you're unattractive and, the women that you want are much more attractive than you. And I mean, like, this is a funny thing. Like, in the Manosphere, they never even talk about their own looks. They never pay attention to the fact that their looks aren't their strong point. Because they're too busy trying to knock other women down and try and say they're average at best in order to have access to them. It's like they already know they're ugly. They just still want to have access to women who are who are attractive. So then they can ignore the fact that they're unattractive. And this goes also into the whole idea that people usually will try and say that women who are less attractive have access to men who are more attractive. I've never seen that. I mean, it always seems like men who are less attractive are always trying to say that they have access to women who are attractive. And they always focus on women's looks, but they don't focus on their own looks. I mean, what's good for the goose is good for the gander, isn't it? So if you're focused on women's looks, then you have to focus on your own looks. But you don't want to do that because you know that your looks aren't going to be that appealing to women. So you have to go with a different avenue. Well, I just think if you're really thinking that women need to be attracted to you off of other means than looks, then why are you demanding that you need to be attracted to women off of looks? You're asking women for something that you can't bring to the table. That's what annoys me a lot with the Manosphere, is that they don't pay attention to the fact that you're asking for something that you don't have yourself, and you can't offer women yourself. You can't offer looks because you are a 2, a 3, or 4, in looks. And the only women that appeal to you are women who don't know they're attractive and think they're fives. I mean, like, just Pearly thinks she's a five, even though clearly she is not. She's a seven, close to an eight. But she has to have a lower view of herself in order to be with a man of such an unattractive level as we've seen her past involvements have been. And you have to understand, some of the things that they complain about have to do with this, like complaining about women with low self-esteem. Well, you're with a woman with low self-esteem because that's the only woman you could get that was attractive, because the means and the way you were trying to get an attractive woman was to push her self-esteem down, to make her feel like she was less than, right? Well, then of course you have a low self-esteemed woman. And then of course you have the struggles of being in a relationship with a low self-esteemed woman. So then you wonder why you struggle. Well, you set yourself up for that struggle because you wanted a woman with a low self-esteem in order to have access to her beauty. So that's all I have to say on this. It's just like, when it comes to some pick me channels, the idea of having a lower self esteem and things of that nature come with the territory, because they have to not be aware of their natural beauty, because men will feel threatened by it. They will feel insecure about it because they're not as attractive, and they know they can't bring the same thing to the table. So they know that they're not on that same level as that woman because they're not attractive. And it's not just like that men are the only ones with sexual attraction, women are too. So I mean, like, you're asking for something that you can't give. Of course you're setting yourself up for failure. That's all I have to say. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe, comment down below. Have a great day.